Namaste. Namaste and welcome to this Wednesday morning class. We're going to do a very similar thing to last week, but with a few changes for those of you who are following week to week. You might need a little yoga block or a sturdy book for our raised bridge at the end of class, but just have that somewhere close by. So today, because we're going to spend a lot of our class actually on the floor, or sitting down, we're going to start standing up today. So taking the feet nice and wide apart, a little softness to the knees. And you can feel that bounce just to give yourself the really strong connection down with your feet. So if you want to take a few minutes of bouncing or a few moments of bouncing, you can. And if you don't need to bounce, then you don't need to. Coming back to center and then twisting from one side to the other, allowing the arms to float away from the body, the shoulders to remain relaxed, your head to follow your movement, and perhaps beginning to draw your awareness into your center with a touch of a lift through your pelvic floor and your abdominal muscles to feel your strong center from which you move. Today here in Scotland, and everyone in class today live is in Scotland, we are having a very blustery day. And on days like that, doing very still and steady yoga can sometimes feel like you're fighting nature, the energy of nature around you. So doing something a little bit more dynamic can actually be more in keeping with the natural flow of things. If you want to, you can pivot on your toes, create a little twist and opening across the pelvis. If you want to, you can add a little bounce in the center, bouncing and twisting. And if you want your arms to end up somewhere, touching the opposite shoulder in front of you and the opposite hip behind you, whilst allowing the arms to be free as far from the body in between. And then once you feel the time is right, you can do this for much longer in your own practice if you want to. We're going to let the bounce go and simply pivot on the toes. And then we're going to let the feet come to stillness and the body to gradually return to steadiness a little bit at a time. When you come to steadiness, closing the eyes or gazing gently downward, feeling the connection with your feet, and then raising the body, so lifting the body right up as high or as long or as spacious as you can make yourself feel. Take a moment here to become aware of the physical feeling of your body. Perhaps you have some areas that feel light or tense. Perhaps some areas feel closed or in pain or discomfort, hopefully nothing too sharp. Perhaps you're just aware of a sense of space or a sense of strength. And then noticing your breath, just the breath that happens to be there as you arrive here on the mat. We're going to place our hands onto our abdomens, and you can have them with the fingertips, the middle fingertips touching if you want, or you can have one hand on top of the other, it doesn't really matter. Here, let your shoulders and upper body relax a little. You can keep a little softness about your knees so you're not locking the legs straight. And then develop a deeper breath. So feel like you can breathe into the sides of the body, the space under the arms, which are now a little bit bent, the chest, the back. And as you breathe out, emptying the lungs, and then just gently engaging across the navel to press a little extra air out as well. Breathing into the rib cage, the collarbones, the shoulder blades. And as you breathe out, allowing the lungs to empty and then gently engaging across the abdomen to press a little more air out. Deep breath in. Perhaps this breath lifts even into your third eye, even into the crown of the head. And exhaling with that gentle contraction to help empty more completely. A few more deep breaths. With each breath in, gather your energy and gather the prana from around you into your center. And with each breath out, let go of anything you don't need for this moment, this practice. So let go of the planning of dinner or the things you've got to do today. Leave them behind. Just for yoga. One more deep breath. Then allowing your arms to relax by your sides, taking your chin towards your chest and feeling that length down the back of the neck between the shoulder blades, maybe across the top of the shoulders. If it feels comfortable to you, you can roll your head one ear to one shoulder, chin to chest, and then ear to the opposite shoulder. Now, if this isn't a movement that suits your neck, then find a way to move your head in a nurturing fashion so that you feel the sides of the neck opening. Perhaps a little gentle turning of the head from side to side or gentle ear to shoulder. For those who are happy with these rolls, perhaps you want to lift the chin a little between the two shoulders just to make more of a circle. Try not to take your head backwards, but your chin upwards. And if you're going in circles, going in the opposite direction as well. And then when you're ready, you can bring your head back to center. And we'll just roll our shoulders a little bit. And we'll roll in the opposite direction as well. And then perhaps bringing the fingertips to the shoulders, making bigger circles, drawing elbows together and up, shoulder blades towards each other and down. And you can coordinate this with your breath if you're used to doing that. And if you're not, then don't worry about it. Just let your movement flow. The coordination of breath and movement sometimes helps us slow both the movement and the breath down, which is useful. But on a day like today, let's reverse that motion. It can be sometimes a little bit useful just to move in the flow of energy that you've got going at the moment. Very good. We'll do one more in this direction. Fantastic. Letting the arms drift down to the sides. We're going to soften the knees and maybe turn the toes out if you feel comfortable doing that. And then with the knees a little bit more soft, starting with your left elbow, your left arm nice and soft in the elbow, making much bigger circles. So exploring much more of the range of motion of the shoulder and allowing your head, your neck, your torso, your abdomen, your back, everything to get involved in that movement. So you can do as much in this or as little as you like. A little firmness across your belly muscles will really help. And if you are nursing a tender back, perhaps doing a little less vigorous movement or a less mobile movement. We're going both directions, so if you haven't reversed the motion, doing so now. And you can almost feel like you're following your hand with your head, perhaps. We'll do one more in this direction. And then just take a moment to notice the difference between the two sides of the body. Perhaps noticing the warmth or the space on one side versus another, I don't know how you'll feel it, but you will feel it. Let's do the other side, nice and soft in the elbow, and just beginning with whatever feels like a good range of motion for you. You might want to make it slightly bigger, draw the arm more around the body, allow the torso to really become involved in that motion. You might want to follow the path of the hand with the head. All of these things are open to you. And then the opposite direction as well. So beginning to feel that the body doesn't move. We don't move one part at a time. We move as a cohesive organism. Very good. And when you're ready, just bringing your arm back to center. Again, feeling the difference between the two sides. That feels just incredible to me, but maybe it will feel differently to you. And then we're going to do a little spinal limbering here, standing up. So I'm just turning side on so you can see. You can keep your feet in the same position, a little softness in your knees. As you breathe in, open your elbows wide to lift your chest and find space between the bottom of the ribs and the bottom of the body. And then as you exhale, rounding through the spine and just draping the hands forward. Imagine someone's tied a belt just around the top of your waist and they're pulling you backwards and you're draping forward to resist. Breathing in, opening the chest. Breathing out, draping forward. Not forward bending, just draping. Breathing in, lengthening the front of the body. Breathing out, lengthening the back of the body. A couple more of these. A little firmness in your center will help to feel stable in this motion, strong from the center. And we'll finish by breathing in, reaching the arms up and just floating the arms down to the sides. When the arms come down, let's just roll those shoulders out a little bit. Feel now that perhaps your shoulder blades are gliding across your spine, not your spine, the back of your ribs a little easier than they were at the beginning of class. Fantastic stuff, guys. So we're going to come down to lie on our back to limber up the rest of the body. So coming down to the mat in any way that feels good to you. And we're just going to bend our knees and place the feet flat on the floor for a moment as we come to lie on the back. Arms can rest away from the body, just taking a moment to allow your body to arrive in this new position. Taking note of any feelings that your body has, so areas that you perhaps need to offer a little bit more care and attention to as we work. And then when you're ready, you can bring your knees in towards your chest, one at a time. Keep the knees nice and wide. Hands can be on top of the knees or under the back of the knees, and just making some circles with the knees and the feet. No, just the knees. Lovely. Stirring the knees, massaging out that low back area. Let's go in the opposite direction as well. Very good. And then we're going to take our hands away from our knees and allow the knees to find their own circles. So opposite circles are quite useful. You can begin to lengthen and then draw the knee bent in towards the chest again. If that feels good to you, you can make your circles go anywhere and your feet go anywhere with them. But if you are circling in one direction, remember to circle in the other direction as well. Swapping now is a good time. Sorry, I was taken by surprise by where my feet were going to go. And then we're going to keep the left knee bent in and drop the right foot to the floor. And with the right foot on the floor and a little bit of stability through the abdominal muscles, we're going to let the left leg make big circles. So I'd start with a bent knee and allowing that left leg to circle in a way that feels good to you. And we'll go in the opposite direction as well. Bent knee most of the time. Of course, you can extend your leg at points on your circling that feels good to do. A long, straighter leg. And then if you want to, you can go in the first direction again, but lengthening that leg to be a little bit longer. And perhaps you feel comfortable doing this with a straighter leg, and if you want to remain with your knee bent, you can, but going in both directions. And your leg doesn't have to be absolutely straight by any stretch of the imagination, but maybe a little longer than all the way bent. We'll do one more. And then draw this knee into the chest. Just hug it towards you a little. And we're going to float the left foot down to the floor. Observe the difference between the two sides. A little firmness on across the belly as we bend the right knee in and make big circles with a bent knee first. And these circles are a little bit larger than they are when we have both feet off the floor, because we've got the stability of the left foot now supporting the movement. Let's go in the other direction as well. So it allows our right hip to be more free in its movement without being particularly loaded. And that's why it's a nurturing thing to do. And we can go in the first direction with a straighter leg only if you want to. You can do it with a bent knee in the same way as you did before, if you prefer. Just notice any clunking or clicking. Let's reverse the motion. We want to work around that if we can, sort of not pressing through resistance that we meet in the body, particularly the clunking and the clicking in the hips, because it's often a bony structure rather than soft tissue, so we can't force that, and if we do, we will get ourselves in dire straits. Bend the right knee into the chest, hug it towards you just for a moment, maybe a little wave from side to side, and then floating the right foot to the floor. We're going to take the feet nice and wide, and if you want to, you can have the toes pointing outwards a little bit. So about the width of your shoulders or slightly wider. I used to say the width of your mat, but I've got a narrow mat and yours might be wider, so not too wide if it doesn't feel comfortable. And we're just going to begin swaying the knees from side to side. So you get the windshield wiper effect, or windscreen wiper effect. Sorry, lived in the States for too long. And that means that one hip goes sideways and one hip goes forwards, or one knee goes sideways, one knee goes forwards. And we're building up that motion so that eventually you come into a more expressive twist with your legs. So we're building out. It might be that you don't do that here at the beginning of the class, but you're able to at the end of the class. That's okay. The next time your knees go down on your left side, leave them wherever they get to. If you want a little bit of support, if it doesn't feel very supportive because they don't reach anything, you can put a cushion or similar underneath the knees, or particularly the left and the right, just to feel like you can rest down onto something. Here, we're going to reach our right hand over to our left hand. So the head, we're on the left side of the head, the palms are one on top of the other, and the upper back is facing towards the left side as well. So reaching the left hand up, we're going to draw big circles, left fingers on the floor, reaching up over the head, rolling that right shoulder, sorry, it's the right hand going up over the head, rolling that right shoulder to the floor again, and then sweeping the right hand over to the left, reaching the hand up over the head, making big circles. We're going to do one more of these. The legs basically stay where they are. Of course, you can move them a little bit, just as they naturally move with your body. And then when your right arm comes out to your right side, just prepare again by softening the shoulders into the floor, a little bit of effort across the abdomen, and sway your knees back to center, a little sway to each side. And then we're going to sway the knees over to the right. When the knees get to wherever they're going, perhaps you need to change your supports. You can do that, of course. And then reaching your left hand over to your right hand, Right side of the head on the floor, looking towards the right side. Reach the left arm up and over as you circle it over the head, releasing the back of the head and the back of the body towards the mat as you need to, and then peeling away to draw the left hand to the right palm and doing your second circle. We're going to do just one more. You can go a little slower if you prefer. You can catch up with us when we all return to center. So reaching your left arm out towards the left, the shoulders are now relaxed on the floor, firming the belly a touch, drawing the knees back to center, and then again, just a gentle light wiggle from side to side or sway from side to side. We're going to bring our elbows close to the body so that the palms are facing each other, elbows are bent, upper arms and shoulders press into the mat. You can bring your feet a little bit closer towards your buttocks if you want to, not too close. And then pressing down with the upper body, so the back of the arms, the shoulders, a little bit with the back of the head, and the heels of the feet, peeling your hips up off the floor, and then gently releasing down. So we're going to focus on supporting this bridge with the effort of our upper body as well as our heels. So pressing down the backs of the arms, the shoulders, the shoulder blades, gently press down the back of the head, press into the heels, peeling the hips up off the floor. It doesn't matter how high you go, and then gently back down again. Try to keep that engagement through the upper body and the heels, peeling the hips up and gently engaging down again. And one more like this. And down. This time, we're going to peel the hips up, keep that engagement through the back of the body, and then keep the hips up and reach the arms up over the head. So we need to press the tops of the hands down into the mat behind us, the tops of the arms, a different area of stability, and then gently releasing the hips down. The hands stay over the head. We've got gentle engagement at the back of the head, across the back of the arms, the tops of the hands, pressing down into the heels of the feet to roll up, and then gently down. One more rolling up. And then here, we're going to release our arms all the way over, place the elbows down, feel the stability as we press down there, and then release the hips down. Fantastic stuff. Awesome sauce. We're going to lift the feet up towards the ceiling, lift the arms as well, roll the feet at the ankles, the hands at the wrists, in both directions. And then just waving the soles of the feet and the palms of the hands at the ceiling. So we get that sense of movement into the hips and shoulder sockets, and bending the knees into the chest. And we're going to rock backwards and forwards through the length of our spine to come up into sitting. But we're going to come up to balance and then rock and up to balance. So a few times here, rocking from your sit bones to your shoulder blades, trying to balance on the sit bones or the buttocks at the top of the movement, and then try throwing a different shape. So try making a different shape as you come up to balance and rolling back down. And we'll do a few of these. And then the next time you come up, you can come up and hold around the back of the knees, roll the shoulder blades down the back to lengthen the spine, lift a little in your belly muscles and lift your shins to be about parallel with the mat. And then here, it might be enough to hold here. And if you're nursing a sensitive back, don't release the hands from the knees. And if you need to, you can release your feet down. But if you can, releasing your hands away. And if you want to, you can lengthen your legs away as well. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out, gather your knees in and come to sitting with your right knee bent in front of your, or right leg crossed in front of your left. And as we come up to sitting, taking a moment to sit, perhaps close the eyes, notice the effect of the previous work in the body every time we come to this sort of noticing position. Just taking a moment to become aware of the effect of your practice. Allow your body to find its natural length here, its natural lift. It's the space that we've created. Check that your face is still relaxed, your jaw isn't clenching or holding. If you need to, you can swallow and release, or wiggle your lower jaw from side to side. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Aces. Okay, so this week, we're obviously in the throes of this week as we're half an hour into class, but this week we're going to do a very sort of similar practice to last week, but with a few little changes as well. So start with your hands on your knees, and we're going to circle the upper body. So imagine we're going to draw a circle on the ceiling with the pencil coming up from the crown of the head. And as you circle around, feel free to move on your legs and your buttocks. So you don't need to keep anything in particular on the floor if it feels good for it to be free from the floor. And we're going to circle in the opposite direction as well. I can see some of you were already changing direction as I said that. That's excellent. Very good. And then after a bit of circling and a little massaging across the buttocks there as well, we're going to come back to the center and we're going to do our spinal waves. So if anyone didn't enjoy these, doing smaller versions, or you can do another set of circling. So for these spinal waves, we're going to start by breathing in, lifting the chest and folding forward over the legs. And then as you breathe out, press into the hands to round the back, as if you're lifting the middle of your back up, draping your head forwards. And then coming up, lifting the head, breathing in, folding forward. And breathing out, rounding through the spine, pressing down through the hands to scoop the belly in and come upright. One more, breathing in forward. Breathing out as you round up. And then we'll reverse that motion. So we're going to breathe in and dive the head forward. So round the spine away from the knees, dive the head forward and down. And breathe out as we roll the shoulder blades together and lift the chest, come up. Round the spine, breathing in, the crown of the head comes down and forward. Breathing out, opening the chest. One more, breathing in as you dive the crown of the head forwards. And breathing out as you lift back to center. Very good. So obviously you don't need to move quite as much as that if you have less space in the body, but that's all good. So we've got our right knee bent, and we're going to do side bend side to side here. Right knee bent in front, sorry. So get your forearms ready. We'll go to the left first. Left forearm, reach it away from the body, so the right hip has to come off the floor as you reach the right arm over to the left. And then press off the left hand and reach over to the right. Excellent. So we're going side to side. We're going to do, this is our second one, we're going to do 3 more of these. So we're trying to find that buoyancy of the body away from the floor. So we get all the way and then we rebound. We lean all the way and then we rebound. I think this is number 4. And we're doing 1 more. Very good. Coming up to center, just catching yourself in the middle there. And then we're going to do a similar thing, but with a rounding twist as well. So this time we're only going to go to the left. We're going to reach the forearm away, lean over, reach the right arm over. rebound just to center, so we have to catch that movement, and then scoop the right arm across the body, gentle turn and fold as well, and then rebound back to center. So it's as if we've got something like a big ball on this left leg, or a big tree if you want to think about it, and we're rounding and scooping, so scooping the belly in, rounding to find length and space across the back of the shoulder, the right shoulder rather, and coming back to center. Let's do 4 more of these. So leaning over to the left, the right buttock leaves the floor, rebounding back to center, and then scooping in as we hug around the left side, rebounding back to center. Leaning over to the left and rebound up and scooping to hug. This is number 2. We've got 2 more to go. Leaning over, rebound, scooping hug and rebound. Last one. Over to the left, rebound, a scooping hug, rebound. This time we're going to go over to the left, only enough to free our right leg, which is going to swing out to the side, and then we're going to come back to the center, and our legs will be in deer pose. So if you need to adjust your left knee to be a little bit further in front of the left hip rather than out to the side, you can. Right knee is out to the right side. And here we're just going to spend a few moments feeling our way comfortable into here. So if you feel like you can't get the hips down on the floor comfortably here, you can support yourself up on a block or a book or a cushion, just to give your pelvis a bit of space. And that's a nice thing to do. And then we're going to first lean a little bit forward. So taking the hands a little bit further in front of you and just swaying your upper body from side to side. Now, it might be that that feels more comfortable to do slightly twisted to the left for your pelvis. And if that's the case, that's okay. And you can explore perhaps how it feels to sway the upper body from side to side in all sorts of different directions here, but make sure it feels comfortable. So that's really important, that we begin to develop that awareness of what feels right for the body, what doesn't feel right for the body. And when you've done a few of these and you feel like you've explored that space, you can come back to center. So here we're going to take our front leg, which is our left leg, and try to sit tall and lift the left leg off the floor. So this takes a bit of practice and it might not come. You might just have the sense of you're creating that lift, but the leg doesn't leave the floor, and that's okay. Try lifting the leg without leaning backwards and release. Let's try one more. Lift and release. Then we're going to lean slightly forward and we're going to press that left leg down as firmly as we can. Really activate from your hip, pressing the whole leg down into the floor and releasing back to center. We're going to lift, see perhaps if it comes off the floor this time, and release. One more forward to press down into the outside of that left leg, really creating strength and stability in that hip. Coming back to center and then lift and release. Fantastic stuff. Now, for those who would like to pigeon here, we are going to slide our back leg, that's our right leg, around behind us, and we can come more into our center here. Tuck your back toes to begin with, and you can support your body in any way here. So hands on the floor is good, and you can lean slightly forward if it helps to give you space. And if you want to, you can keep the back knee off the floor and keep this very active as a pigeon, perhaps gently swaying from side to side with the hips. And you can gently touch the knee down and release as well. If you don't enjoy pigeon, you can stay in deer pose. That's no problem at all. And for anyone who would really like to go forwards, you can fold forwards over your front leg. I'm not really into doing that with my pigeon anymore. And if you want to, you can catch hold of your back foot. If you want to give yourself a little bit more of a length down the right side of the pelvis and the right quadricep, you can sway your heel from side to side. Okay, very good. And then whichever variation of pigeon you're in, we're going to drop our left buttock to the floor. We're going to reach the left hand along the floor as we roll onto our backs. And so now you've got your left knee bent up. Yes, that's right. And your arms maybe out around about shoulder height or similar. And we're going to allow the left knee to come down to the left. So we're in a fallen tree pose. And then allow the left knee to come across the body. So we come into a twist. And so we're just gently rolling from fallen tree pose into a gentle twist. And we're almost catching ourselves in the postures of the tree pose and the twist for just a moment before we move again. Let's do one more. We're going to finish by holding the twist just for a moment. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. As you roll out, hug your knee towards you, that's your left knee, and just stir the leg in the socket, the thigh bone in the hip socket a couple of times in each direction. Very good. And then bending both knees into the chest. But again, going to roll backwards and forwards through the length of the spine. And when you come up, sitting with your left leg in front of your right leg, allowing the spine to organize itself upwards, taking a moment with the eyes gently closed or gazing downward to feel the effect of your practice. And then we'll do the whole thing on this side. So we're going to start with the stirring of the torso. And for those of you who don't want to do the spinal rolls, you might want to stick with the stirring of the torso. If you want to develop that a little bit deeper, you can. So if that suits you. We're going to go in the opposite direction as well. Just massaging out the buttocks. I've got a knobbly bit that's catching on in my sit bone area. Maybe you do too. And then coming back to center, and we're going to do our spinal undulations here. So we're going to start by opening the chest, lifting the belly, and inhaling as we fold forward over the legs, pressing into the hands, rounding the back, exhaling back upright. Inhaling forward, rounding through the spine, exhaling back upright. Inhaling forward, exhaling upright. From our lifted center position, we're going to inhale, round this back and drop the top of the head forward. And exhale, opening the chest and coming back to center. Rounding the back, inhaling as we drop the crown of the head forward. Exhaling back to center. Last one, inhaling as we dive the crown of the head forward. And exhaling back to center. Excellent stuff. And now we've got our wonderful side waves. So let's reach our right hand out to the right side, left arm over, left buttock off the floor. Press off the right hand and over to the left. Go side to side. Doesn't matter what ends up on the floor as long as you feel you've got something to push off. And it's nice to reach quite far away from the body to allow the hips to be free of the floor as you lean. And we're going to do one more in each direction. Very good. And then we're going to do our side bend to the right, rebound to center, and then hugging twist to the right, rebound to center. Side bend to the right, rebound to center, hug around that right side, really rounding, and rebound. So as we side bend, we feel that length all down the side of the body. And as we hug, we feel the length across the top of the back particularly. We'll do 2 more. I think, yes, 2 more, why not? And last one. And that hugging twist. Coming back to center. This time we'll go over to our right side, enough to free the left leg, swing it out to the side, and come back to center. So we're sitting in deer pose. And if you want to, you can draw your right knee more in front of your right hip. If you prefer to have it further out to the side, it's no problem at all. So try to find your center here. If you need a little lift, placing it underneath the probably the right hip. And then leaning slightly forward, just beginning a little sway from side to side with the upper body. We're exploring where the body feels good doing this. Perhaps it's more twisted to the right side. And perhaps for some of you, you can go very much deeper if you would like to, of course, you may. And also just exploring a little bit here on how it feels to be across the left side. Now for me, that doesn't feel quite so comfortable. It feels a little bit awkward. I don't mind doing a little bit of it. I don't want to do a lot of it. So begin to develop that conversation with your body. What do you enjoy doing? What do you enjoy doing less? What do you really not enjoy doing? What is a nemesis movement for you? And then when you're ready, you can come back to center. And here we're going to do our hip stability program with the front leg. So we're going to begin by sitting upright, not leaning backwards, and lifting the front leg off the floor, or having the intention to lift the foot and the knee up and releasing down. Let's do this a couple of times. You will find the contraction necessary to do this happens even if the foot doesn't come off the floor, and that's fine. Then we're going to lean slightly forward and press the outside of the right leg down, really, really firming and stabilizing, feeling the activation in the hips. And then coming back to sit upright, lifting the right leg up and releasing down, leaning forward, pressing the outside of the right leg down into the mat, really, really stabilizing. Releasing back to upright, lifting the right leg up. And we'll do one more, leaning forward, pressing that right leg down into the mat. See if you can do it without tension in your face. And back to center. One more lift. I think we've done an extra one on this side, but it won't matter much. So for those of you who are more comfortable in this position than pigeon, you can stay in this position. I'm just going to slide round to the side. We're going to lengthen the back leg if you can, the left leg out behind you a little bit more, and sort of come into your pigeon pose. Back toes tucked under, back leg long to begin with, and see if you can balance here with the aid of your hands. But so you're not trying to release your hips towards the floor, but a little bit up. So you've got a more active pigeon, and we're just going to sway. Imagine it's the right hip, no, it's the left hip. We're swaying from side to side a little bit here. And then if you want to, you can bounce up and down with your knee to the floor and away. And for those of you who'd like to come forward over your front leg, you can here, or you can do both, of course. You can grab hold of your left foot and draw either the heel towards the butt or swaying the foot from side to side. And of course, you don't need to do this at all if it doesn't suit you. And then when you're ready, we're going to lengthen the right arm along the floor so that we can fold forward and roll onto our backs. And we end up with the right knee bent in. The arms can be wherever is comfortable for them. And we're going to allow that right knee to come out to the right so we end up in a fallen tree, like a supine tree pose. And then we're going to let the right knee come across the body just to gently move into a twist to the left side. Swaying inwards and outwards, from tree to twist. Just finding it's the same as our side swaying and lengthening in our seated position. It's a little bit of momentum and rebound. So a little bit from side to side. And then the next time you come into your twist, holding the twist. And here, just taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. When you roll out of your twist, you can hug your right knee in towards you, making a little sort of circle with the right knee, circling the thigh and the hip in both directions if that feels good to you. And then bending both knees into your chest, rocking backwards and forwards through the length of your spine. And when you're ready, coming up to sitting with the right foot in front of the left, right leg in front of the left. Fantastic stuff. Awesome sauce, guys. So we're going to take a moment here sitting with the spine lifted and feeling that length, that space, that effort, and the effects of it. With the eyes gently closed if you can. Giving ourselves this moment to come back to our center. And then I'm just going to turn to the end of my mat, which is where I will need to be. We're going to take the right leg is in front of the left. So we're going to turn to the left, take the left hand behind us and turn all the way around into our little squat position here. We're going to take first a moment to do our waving vinyasa. So this is just an opportunity for us to wriggle out any tension from the spine. So reaching your hands as far forward as feels comfortable. So you almost feel like you're going to fall towards the floor. And instead of falling forward, we're going to press our heels backwards as we open the legs up into our downward facing dog, hips lifted a little. In downward dog, we're going to gently paddle the feet. Nice work. If you want to paddle the feet and you want to give yourself a little bit of a sway, maybe paddle through the arms as well. So pressing down with opposite hand to heel. So you can do a little twist through the torso as well. Nice. And then I like to bring my feet a little bit closer together for a waving vinyasa. You can have your knees on the floor, of course. From here, we're going to bend the knees to drop the hips towards the heels and then press off the toes to round through the spine. Look towards your toes until your shoulders come between your hands. Then open your chest. Imagine you're dragging your hands back behind you. Keep your knees bent and your elbows bent. Press up through either hands and knees or press up position and back into downward facing dog. Let's do 2 more of those. So pressing off the toes, rounding forward, opening the chest, pressing back through press up or hands and knees into downward facing dog. Last one. Bending the knees, rounding forward, opening the chest here. Even if your knees are on the floor, just gently looking from one side to the other, keeping the front of the shoulders open, buoyancy in the elbows and the knees. And when you're ready, pressing back through your center position into your downward facing dog. And here in our downward dog, we're going to walk our feet towards our hands and step the toes wide and see if we can come into a squat position. So you don't have to have your hips really low here. So if your squat is here, that's fine. If you want your heels off the floor, if it makes it easier, more spacious, you can. But if you want to, you can bring your hands to the center of the chest in front of you. And if your hips enjoy it, you can do a little bit of a wiggle from side to side here, or taking one foot off the floor and then the other. And then whatever position you're in, just coming to a moment of stillness for a deep breath in and a deep breath out. So I'm going to take my hands to the floor, just tip slightly forward, so I can again press the heels down to lengthen, turn my toes in and come into a standing forward bend. Fingertips on the floor, holding elbow to elbow, nice wide knees, and just floating from one side to the other. So gently pressing from one side to the other, allowing the torso to sway a little if that feels good to you. Then in the center, we can keep our feet quite wide, soft in the knees, and we're going to drape the body forward. Imagine someone's pulling you by that belt that's just around the upper waist, and you're draping forward as you round through the spine to come up into standing. As you come up to standing, roll the palms of the hands forward, lengthen through the back of the neck. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Okay, so here we're going to do a little, I don't quite know how to put it. So we're going to do it's a combination of standing and draping and coming into a squat. And so I'm going to demonstrate first. So we were going to stand in our Tadasana, but reach our arms up to begin with. So a lift as we inhale here. We're going to exhale the arms out to the side. And then we're going to inhale as we round through the upper back only, and then exhale as we release ourselves towards the floor. We're going to take a breath in and out here, and then inhale, lengthening forward with the chest, dropping the bottom, exhaling, standing tall. Starting again, inhaling, exhaling, inhaling as we round, and exhaling as we fold. The knees can be nice and soft so that you don't have any tension on the low back as you do this, but it's all about that sense of resisting and surrendering, like we did last week. Okay, so in your Tadasana, with your feet a little bit wider than normal, just for a space in the hips, maybe a little bit of softness in the knees, breathing in, taking the arms up, feeling that lift as you really lengthen up, breathing out, arms out at shoulder height. Breathing in, imagine someone's caught you just at the top of the waist to drag you backwards as you lengthen through the back of the body. Breathing out as you surrender to that feeling of draping forwards. A deep breath in, a deep breath out, soften the knees, breathe in as you look forward, reaching the arms forward to breathe out and come up. And then we start again, breathing in. Lengthening, breathing out, arms at shoulder height. Breathe in, imagine someone's dragging you backwards. You begin the round, breathing out as you surrender towards the floor. Take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And then we're going to breathe in, look forward, reach the arms forward as you exhale. Come to the top of the movement, and breathe in. One more, breathing out, arms out at shoulder height. Breathing in, rounding through the upper back, begin to drape forward, and then breathing out as you surrender. Soften the knees, deep breath in, deep breath out. Breathe in, looking forward. Breathing out as you bend the knees, but reach the hands forward and up. And we'll just finish by releasing the arms down to the sides. Fantastic stuff, guys. So this is something that you can do with a squat as well. And on the next round, we'll do that for anyone who wants to do the squat, but for anyone who doesn't want to do the squat, this is the one that you're going to do. Okay, so we've ended up standing up, which we need to sit down again. So come to sitting in any way that feels good to you. And we're going to sit with the left leg in front of the right leg. Yes, let's do that. Left leg in front of the right leg. Take a moment as we're sitting to feel tall, to find that space. And then we're going to turn to the right, take the right hand behind us, twist to the right and come into our little squat position again. We'll take our hands all the way forward. Imagine that you're reaching so far forward that you're almost about to fall forward before you stretch your heels back towards the mat behind you and lengthen the legs. A little paddling through your down dog if you need it. And we're going to do just 2 waving vinyasas. For anyone who would prefer to keep down dog, you can, or rest in child's pose if you prefer. Pressing off the toes, rounding through the upper back. When the chest comes forward, opening the chest. Imagine you're just drawing your elbows slightly back behind you. Then pressing up through plank pose or hands and knees and back into downward dog. One more like this. Pressing off the toes, rounding through the upper back. Firm in the buttocks, opening the chest, soft in the knees and the elbows, coming back through plank and into downward dog. From here, we're going to walk our feet forwards and we're going to take that deep squat. So the deep squat will be whatever your deep squat is. It doesn't need to look the same shape as this or indeed as anyone else in your household. And then we just take a moment in our squat, trying to lengthen the spine as much as possible. And for those of you who feel comfortable in your squat, you're going to come into standing by pressing into the heels, freeing, getting a little bit of buoyancy and bounce in the legs and pressing all the way up to standing, reaching the arms over the head. For those of you who are not so comfortable in your squat, you're going to come back into your standing forward bend. You're going to do several rounds of the flow that we did on the last round, where you come up and down doing your draping. For those of you who came up to standing, you're here. Your toes are pointing out. We're going to point our toes in, reach the arms out to the side, and then imagine that you're being pulled backwards so that you find your drape, and then we release forwards into our drape. Here we're going to look forward, reach the hands forward, drop the bottom to press all the way up, and then we're going to turn the feet out and we're going to bend the knees and come back into our Malasana squat. Okay, so this is the added extra for those of you who are comfortable in your squat. So from your squat, getting quite buoyant on the legs. So we really need to activate. It's the same process of pressing outside of the leg down into the mat like we did in deer pose earlier. So it's the same strength we need to garner. And we're going to press into the legs to come up. Turn the toes forward and take the arms out to the side. Imagine you're being pulled slightly backwards, you're rounding, and then you surrender to that drape. The knees are soft. And then to come up, we're looking forward, we're reaching the arms forward, we're dropping the bottom to come all the way up, turning the toes outwards and coming back into the squat. So we'll do just one more, but we're going to end up in the squat, and those of you who are doing your alternative variation can come and join us in a bend of some kind. So a little buoyant on the knees, pressing all the way up, toes point forward, arms out to the side, rounding through the upper back as if you were being pulled backwards, and then surrender to the forward bend. When you're ready, inhaling, looking forward, reaching the arms forward and up, toes pointing outwards, and surrendering down into your squat. So those of you who are perhaps in a forward bend at this point, just taking your hands to the floor as we are going to do. And we're going to step our feet backwards into downward facing dog and take a little bit of an undulation in downward dog. A little bit of a wriggle. Perhaps we'll turn our heels to one side and bend and straighten the legs a couple of times. That's quite a nice one to do. And up onto the toes, over to the other side, bend and straighten the legs. And then here in the middle, we're going to drop our knees to the floor. So we're in a cat or in a tabletop pose. And we're going to bring our right leg forward first. I say that, I'm going to actually do it the wrong way around. There we are, super. Right leg forward first. So we're in proposal position. We are going to reach for the floor as well. So we're going to be here, reaching for the floor. We're going to untuck the back toe, so untuck the back knee. So the back knee is free from the floor. We're going to press down into the feet. Now, the last few weeks we've been working at either pressing the feet apart or drawing the feet together. One of those is stronger for you. So whichever of those is stronger for you, pressing the feet apart or drawing the feet together, we're going to round through the upper back as we press into the feet to come up to this sort of standing, squatting, lunging combination. And here we're going to raise the arms over the head. And this is a little bit of a tricky one to show. So if you want to, you can straighten your legs a little bit, give yourself a bit of a break. What we're going to do here is with both knees bent, we're going to reach, let's think, the left hand forward and the right hand backwards, making big circles. So when the arms meet at the top, the hands meet at the top, the legs are long. And when the left hand comes forward and the right hand comes backwards, then the knees bend. So you find a little bit of bounce, and it's also quite the balance. And if you need to do it more slowly, so if you need to come to the top every time and think left hand forward, right hand backwards, bend the knees as the hands meet at the bottom, and then come back to the center, that's okay. But if you find that you've got that sense of buoyancy and your brain doesn't mind the coordination, you can just do a little bit of bouncing here. Lovely. Very good. And we'll do one more. And when we meet at the top, not both hands backwards, one hand forward, one hand backwards. If we meet at the top, we're going to bend all the way forward over the front leg and then step back into downward facing dog. Take a moment in down dog. Hopefully it feels like a bit of a rest. And then we'll bring our knees to the floor, step the left foot forward this time. Whew. Gosh. Sorry, it's quite hard to do that and talk because it's really quite demanding. So from our hands either side of our left foot, we're going to tuck the back toe under and free the back knee from the floor. Then either pressing the feet apart or drawing together, find the strength in the legs to roll yourself upright. Reach the arms over the head, lengthen the arms. So last time the left hand went forward and the right hand went backwards. This time it's the opposite. So this time the right hand goes forward, the left hand goes backwards, and they meet up again. So they're circling as you bend and stretch the legs. So that's right hand forward, left hand backwards. If you need to slow it down, you can. And if you feel comfortable, you can get quite bouncy here, which is again that sort of sense of whoo, resisting and surrendering to gravity. A little bit of a wobble's no problem at all. And then we're going to fold forward over the front leg, place the hands down, and come into downward facing dog. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. So from here, we're going to walk our feet forward to our hands and then drape the head forward and roll up one vertebra at a time. When you stand upright, turning the palms forwards, Just taking a moment in your standing position, a few deep breaths. This is our position of rest, where we notice the effect of our practice. Aces. And I've got one more fun thing to try, which also challenges our balance a little bit, and this sense of coming into a posture, rebounding out of it. So this is a variation on our Garudasana. So Garudasana is the eagle pose, where we've got one leg wrapped around the other, and normally we have the arms wrapped as well, but today we're going to keep our hands in Namaste, or prayer position. So let's take our right leg as our standing leg first. We're going to step the left foot out to the side, bend the right knee, and then with the arms wide as well, we're going to cross the left leg over the right. It doesn't matter how far it wraps, it can simply step to the side and bring the palms together. And then we're going to lengthen the left leg away and the arms away, catch ourselves in a balance and step onto the left foot, catch ourselves in another balance, and then wrap the right leg over the left leg, hands to Namaste. As we unwrap, we can lengthen our right leg out in any direction, catch ourselves in a balance, step onto the right foot, catch ourselves in a balance with the left, and then bending the right knee, wrapping the left leg around, hands come to the center of the chest. So you're going from one side to the other. You can stretch your arms and legs in any direction to catch yourself in a balance, and then draw yourself into your eagle legs and your prayer position arms. So just traverse around your mat or traverse around your space. And you might get really comfortable, woohoo, she says, to do this a little bit more quickly. So you step, catch, hold the balance, lengthen, catch, hold the balance. Woohoo, she says. It's all good. And just a few more of these. And wobbling is okay. That's what we're here to do. We're here to find the strength, not just when we're able to stand on our legs, looking at one point ahead of us. We're in a quiet yoga room and everyone's concentrating. We're here to find a way to balance in life as well, when we don't necessarily have those points of focus or the quiet space to do it in. So the next time you come onto your left leg, then just stepping onto both feet, relaxing your arms down to the side. Taking a couple of deep breaths. From here, we're going to again come into our forward fold. So folding forward in any way that's comfortable for you. I prefer to hinge forward from my hips, but you may prefer to roll down. When you come down, lengthening your right leg up behind you so that you are in a little bit of a standing split. You can even press your upper body away from the floor. You're going to bend your right knee in and place the right knee down on the floor behind the left ankle so that you end up, I've done it the wrong way around for demonstrating, so that you end up with your left foot crossed over your right knee. So here, if you have both hips towards the floor, if the left hip's a little bit away from the floor, but not much, you can maybe just get your fingers underneath, you can stick with it. But if you want to, if your left hip's very far away from the floor, lengthen your right leg in front of you. Okay, so we're going to sit really tall, wrap the right arm around the left thigh, draw it towards us, either with the hand, the forearm, the elbow, whichever works for you. Breathe in as you reach the left arm up, and twist to the left as you breathe out and place that hand down behind you. This posture is called Half Lord of the Fishes, Ardha Matsyendrasana. And it is the classical seated twist. We're going to take a deep breath in, feel the length down the spine, and a deep breath out as we move into the twist. Soften the shoulders and the face, try not to grip in the jaw. Take another couple of deep breaths. And then unwind by turning to the front with the head first, then releasing the arms, turning to the opposite side and back to center. So we're going to come into our standing split again. So we're going to take our hands down to the right side of the feet, and we're going to press into the hands as we pivot on our feet and come into a standing forward bend again. Doesn't matter if it's not terribly graceful, it's all good. So this time we need our left leg up behind us in our standing split. And we're going to lift the torso, lift the legs and arms as long as we can, and then bend the left knee in to place it down on the floor behind the right ankle. And here again, if you've got just a touch of space underneath that right hip, that's okay. If it's very far away from the mat, then extending your left leg forward. Okay? Doesn't matter which of these you choose. We're going to wrap the left arm, hand, wrist, forearm or elbow around the right thigh and draw it towards ourselves so we still feel upright and we're using that thigh for support. Breathing in as you lengthen the right arm up, breathing out as you place that hand down behind you. Feel that sense of lift through the body. And as you exhale, moving into your twist. Try to soften your jaw, your shoulders. Try not to grip anywhere in particular as you take a few deep breaths here. And then when you're ready to release, turning to the front with only your head, then releasing your hands, unwinding your spine, turning a little to the opposite side and back to center. From here, we're simply going to uncross the legs, grab hold of your blocks if they're handy, and come down onto our backs. So taking first your feet to the floor, arms released away from the sides of the body, and a gentle sway of the knees from one side to the other. We don't need to do a big twist here because we've just done a big twist sitting up. So we're just swaying the knees to release any tension in the pelvis. And then when you're ready, you can come back to center. With heels as close to the buttocks as feels comfortable so that we can lift the hips just enough to slide that support underneath the back of the sacrum. Making sure that you don't feel that that support's too high or too low. When you release your hips down, you can step your feet a little bit further away from you if that feels comfortable. Release the arms out to the sides. Spend a few breaths here, just making sure it feels comfortable. And for anyone who's desperately uncomfortable here, simply resting with your back on the floor and the knees bent or lengthened as you prefer. Now here you might like to slide your right leg a bit longer and allow the right toes to fall out to the right side. And maybe that feels good. And if it does, you can try your left leg, sliding your left leg away from you with the toes turned out to the left. Now, if that makes you feel less stable or it's not quite as comfortable in the back, then simply spend a few breaths on each side with one knee bent and one foot on the floor. If both of these feel super comfortable, you can bend both feet in. And if you've got an option to add another block or, another book or turn your block, then lifting your hips enough to turn your block to give yourself a little bit more lift underneath the pelvis. Again, starting with your feet a little bit further away from the buttocks than normal so that the feet are still supportive. And then notice how it feels to have your right leg long, your left leg supporting. Perhaps it feels okay to have both legs long. Perhaps that doesn't feel quite as supportive. That's okay. You can alternate between both sides. For those of you who want to do a little bit more, or if you have a sacroiliac joint issue, an SI joint issue, then I'm going to show you something else to do. So it doesn't matter what orientation your is on. You're going to bend your left knee into your chest. If you're on the high block, then do take care that you're well balanced. And then with the left knee in, lengthen the right leg away and let the right heel hover just off the mat. You can hold your left knee with both hands. And if you want to, you can gently, as a really small movement, sway the right foot from side to side. So you're not going far. It's not a massive arc. You don't need it to be. The SI joint only has a very small range of movement. And then heel to the floor, that's right heel to the floor. You can just gently tap your right heel towards your left side, as far as it will comfortably and easily go. And then tap your right heel out towards the right. So backwards and forwards a few times, or side to side rather, a few times. And then with the right heel on the floor, sliding the right foot in, taking the left foot down to the floor. Spend a moment in the center with both feet supporting, then bending the right knee into the chest, sliding the left leg along the mat. The heel is slightly, just a centimeter, maybe not even, floating away from the floor. And initially, this might be enough, but if you needed a little bit more, you can make a gentle sway of the left leg from side to side. And if you'd like to do something else, you can let the left heel float to the floor and gently tap the left heel towards the right side. And then tap the left heel towards the left. Gentle tapping from side to side. Just noticing if that feels like it's helpful for your back. I personally find this incredibly good for my SI joints, which got a bit overstretched when I did a lot of yoga and was pregnant at the same time. When you're ready, you can let the left heel come to the mat, slide your left foot in, take your right foot to the floor, and whichever orientation your block is in, everybody now coming to be in this position with the feet on the floor and the arms out to the side. Take a deep breath here. If your block is turned up or if you've got more than one support, then at the end of your exhalation, taking a moment to release your block to a lower level or release one of your supports. Adjusting your feet are further away from you if you need to. And then everybody resting here for a moment just to sway the nose from side to side, to check the face is relaxed, the jaw is relaxed. One more last deep breath. And when you're ready to, you can, again, really subtly just float the hips enough to lift your support out and let your hips come down to the mat. And when they do, lengthening the legs out in front of you and coming into Shavasana, relaxation pose. Now, if you want anything for your relaxation, like a blanket, a jumper, some socks, or if you need a bolster underneath the backs of the legs, if you need to bend your knees into your chest and hug them towards you to do a little bit of releasing after our posture work, you can. Make any of those adjustments now. And today I'm going to play a singing bowl for your relaxation, so I'm just going to grab that. And if you're happy where you are for relaxation, you can simply stay there with the eyes closed, beginning to feel that sense of surrender and letting go. So I can see a few people are just getting themselves organized, taking your time. And when you come onto the mat in the relaxation posture of your choice, letting your body surrender its weight down, taking a last purposeful breath, sighing out through the mouth. If it feels useful to do that more than once, of course, do so. Allow your breath to fall into quietness. Allow your forehead to soften. The area around your eyes to release. Your mouth, tongue, and jaw to relax. Feel the space between the eyebrows spreading. Take your awareness to the back of your body. Allow it to feel heavy, warm, supported, and releasing down towards the mat. Move your awareness to the front of your body. Become aware of the space over you, around you. Feel the touch of air on your face. The movement of your clothes on your skin as you breathe. The sensation of holding space in the palms of the hands. Notice how quiet your breath is. Notice how still your body is. And in that quiet and stillness, listening to the sound of the singing bowl. Become aware of the sound of the vibration, sounds within that sound, and allow your awareness to follow it to the silence in between. Each time your awareness follows the vibration into the quietness, feel like you're able to release and let go of anything that you don't need, leaving behind any mental tensions. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your hands and your feet by gently wiggling your fingers and toes. Perhaps rolling the wrists, rolling the ankles. When you feel ready, taking a deep breath in and stretching the arms. Stretching the legs, maybe even stretching the face in a yawn. Making any movements that feel good. If you want to bend your knees into your chest, hug them towards you. If you prefer to ripple, stretch through your arms and body like a cat, you can. When you're ready, you can roll to one side, take a moment on your side. Try keeping your eyes gently closed to contain that stillness, that peace within. And in your own time, coming into any comfortable seated position. Taking the hands together, rubbing them vigorously, getting lots of heat into the hands by pressing the palms and rubbing them fast. When they begin to feel warm, pressing them more firmly, rubbing a little faster, and then placing the hands over the eyes. So the eyes themselves aren't touched by the palms, but the heat from the hands softens and releases the whole area across the eyes, the forehead. Blinking into your palms a few times and releasing your hands down when you're ready to open your eyes. Namaste, guys. Thank you for joining me for this practice. This week's developing a healthy mindset advice is coming on a separate video for those, just because I figured that might be easier for some people. So watch out for that. I will send it out to you, of course. And I hope to see you again next week. I hope you enjoyed this practice and wishing you lots of love. Namaste.